The great doors of the Senate slammed open, not with ceremony, but with force. Silence fell as every eye turned to the impossible. Emperor Zalvor, sovereign of 1,000 worlds, choked and staggering, chains biting into his neck, was being dragged like a beaten animal. And behind him, blood-streaked and unflinching, a human, a Terran, walked with death in his eyes. Elias Wren didn't speak. He didn't need to. The galaxy already knew. The gods could bleed. The great doors of the Senate hadn't been breached in over 2 centuries. They were relics, more simple than security, massive slabs of alloyed stone etched with the victories of the Empire. But today, they buckled under force, shrieking open on twisted hinges. Senators froze mid-debate. The chamber's echoing silence was broken only by the sound of metal scraping marble. A man, a human, dragged a figure in chains. Elias Wren didn't look left or right. His gaze was locked ahead, jaw clenched, eyes cold. Behind him, the once untouchable Emperor Zalvor stumbled, wrists bound, the heavy links biting into alien flesh. Blood trailed between them. A whisper rose among the gathered alien dignitaries. Disbelief. Fear. Elias didn't speak. The galaxy was watching. 20 minutes earlier, the air in the Emperor's sanctum was still. Guards stood motionless, as they always had, believing no one would dare breach the inner sanctum of the most powerful being in the galaxy. That belief ended in seconds. A thunderous pulse from a stolen disruptor detonated the reinforced entryway. Smoke rolled through, and Elias Wren stepped into legend. "Move!" he barked, and his team flooded the chamber. Plasma fire lit the room in bursts of blue and orange. The first guard fell, then another. Elias ducked low, rolling behind a column, squeezing off 3 clean shots. 2 found targets. The third vaporized a hovering drone. The Emperor's voice, sharp and guttural, cut through the chaos. "This is treason! I am your god!" Elias rose, firing point-blank into the last defender. "You're just another tyrant." He advanced. Zalvor stood at the base of his throne, his robes still flowing, eyes glowing with fury. Taller than Elias, his alien form shimmered with the strange energy of his kind. But Elias didn't stop. His gauntlet pulsed, a signal, and his team fanned out, herding the Emperor in. A blur of motion. The Emperor lunged, claws extended, aiming for Elias' throat. But Elias was faster. He pivoted, grabbing Zalvor's wrist and slamming him against the marble dais. The crack of bone echoed. "Human!" the Emperor spat. Elias drove his knee into Zalvor's gut, forcing him down. "You've ruled through fear long enough." From his belt, Elias pulled the chains. Forged on Earth, meant for this single purpose. He looped them around the Emperor's wrists, locking them tight. "This isn't how you end me," Zalvor hissed. "No," Elias replied, tightening the last link. "This is how it begins." Now, as he dragged Zalvor through the Senate halls, Elias felt every eye on him. The air was heavy, the silence louder than battle. A senator stepped forward, tentatively, a creature with silver skin and 6 eyes. "Release him, Terran. You don't know what you've done." Elias didn't slow. "I know exactly what I've done." Behind him, the Emperor stumbled. "You'll doom your species." "We were already doomed." Elias shot back, hauling him forward. Columns towered on either side, carved with scenes of conquest, worlds burning, rulers bowing. Elias dragged Zalvor beneath them, each step a crack in the myth of empire. From hidden speakers, a voice cut in, shaky. "This broadcast is live across the core systems. Stand down, human! You are outnumbered." Elias looked up. He could see them, the cameras, the drones, the witnesses. Billions. "Let them watch," he said, his voice low but clear. The Senate doors loomed ahead, smaller now, broken, but still defiant. Just like him. As they passed into the central chamber, Zalvor struggled, planting his feet. "End me now, Wren, or I'll see your homeworld burn." Elias turned, yanking the chains, pulling the Emperor to his knees. "No. You'll watch it rise." He scanned the room. senators, counselors, envoys from 100 worlds. None moved. "I'm Captain Elias Wren, Terran Resistance," he said, voice steady. "This creature has ruled through blood and fear. No more. Today, we take back our future." Someone gasped. Another whispered, "He'll kill us all." Elias raised his hand, pointing at the Emperor. "He already has. Over and over." For a moment, time froze. Then, Elias turned, dragging Zalvor up the Senate steps, toward the throne that loomed at the far end. Each step was a challenge, not just to the Emperor, but to the idea of him. The invincible ruler. The God King. Now a prisoner, forced to kneel before those he had once crushed. Zalvor's breath was ragged, his pride shattered. "This will change nothing." Elias didn't answer. He knew better. It had already begun. The throne loomed ahead like a monument to everything Elias Wren despised, gilded, monstrous, a symbol carved from centuries of submission. He dragged the Emperor across the marble, the chains grinding with each step. The senators parted like waves before him, unwilling to stop what they couldn't comprehend. No one dared speak. Except Zalvor. "You think this will break them?" His voice, still sharp despite the blood on his lips, echoed off the vaulted ceilings. "They've seen rebellions before. Seen them crushed." Elias didn't stop. "They've never seen you fall." The central chamber opened, vast and cold. Statues of past rulers lined the walls, their faces serene in stone, their hands raised in eternal triumph. Elias yanked Zalvor past each one, tearing down the legacy brick by brick. A voice crackled from overhead, the broadcast system patched through every corner of the Empire. "Transmission live. Core systems, outer colonies, and fringe territories, stand by for official response." Elias turned toward a nearby drone, his face unreadable. "Let them see." The drone hovered closer, capturing every detail, the blood-stained chains, the defiance in his eyes, the stunned faces of the Senate. A senator bold enough to step forward broke the silence. "Wren, stop this madness. This isn't justice, it's suicide." Elias glanced at him, barely slowing. So was living under him. The senator opened his mouth, but the words failed. He stepped back. Zalvor chuckled, low and bitter. "They fear me more than they hate me." "They did," Elias said. "Now they're not so sure." They reached the dais. The Emperor's throne rose high above, a twisted amalgam of bone and metal, forged from the relics of conquered worlds. Elias paused at its base, tightening his grip on the chain. "I want you to look," he said, forcing Zalvor's gaze up. "See what you built. See what it's worth when no one believes in it." The Emperor snarled. "You'll never be more than a footnote. A desperate man in a dead-end war." Elias leaned close. "Then why are your hands shaking?" The senator stirred, murmurs rippling through them like wind through dead leaves. Across the galaxy, people watched, breath held. On mining colonies and pleasure worlds, in slums and palaces, the image of a Terran dragging a god was burning into history. Elias stood tall, his voice steady, broadcast to every ear. "Look at him. Look at the one who ruled you. Who starved your families, burned your cities, turned your people into tools." He raised the chain, the Emperor's form slumping beneath it. "This is what power is. An illusion. One strong enough to hold us all down, until now." The chamber trembled, not from force, but from the weight of truth. A woman stepped forward, robes trailing behind her, eyes dark with fear and something else, hope. "You can't stop the Empire alone," she said. "What happens when the guards come? When the fleet arrives?" Elias nodded. "They will. And I'll die. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But when they kill me, you'll remember this." He pulled Zalvor forward, forcing him to kneel at the base of his own throne. "You'll remember that he bled." Silence fell again, thicker than before. Far above, in control rooms orbiting Vorlax Prime, military officers debated, watching feeds, waiting for orders that didn't come. Ships held position, unsure if what they saw was real. The Emperor wasn't issuing commands. He was on his knees. You can't hold this, Ren. Zalvor growled, voice strained. They'll tear you apart. Elias crouched beside him. Maybe. But you're done. Zalvor's eyes flared, but the fire was dimming. The certainty had cracked. Elias turned to the crowd. You've lived in fear of him. Of what he'd do if you stood up. Well, I stood. And he fell. A tremor ran through the chamber, not physical, but deep, electric. From the edge of the room, Varric approached, blaster in hand, scanning for threats. His eyes locked with Elias, nodding once. Resistance fleets in position, he said, voice low. Your broadcast lit them up. We've got riots on half the core planets already. Elias smiled, just for a moment. Good. Varric glanced at the Emperor, then the senators. You ready for the next part? Elias stood, hauling Zalvor up. Almost. He walked the Emperor to the throne, the final steps slow, deliberate. The cameras followed, the entire galaxy holding its breath. This throne doesn't rule you anymore, Elias said, pushing Zalvor into the seat he'd claimed for centuries. Fear does. And fear's dying. The Emperor slumped, silent now. Elias faced the drone, his voice sharp as steel. Rise. And the feed cut to black. The silence after the broadcast cut was not empty. It was loaded, thick with shifting power. The drone's lens had gone dark, but the image of Elias Wren standing over the Emperor had already ignited the galaxy. Varric's voice was low, urgent. The fleets are moving. Riots in the capital zones, outer colonies in open revolt. We started the fire. Elias didn't move from where he stood, eyes still locked on Zalvor slumped in the throne, his breathing shallow but defiant. They needed to see it, Elias said. Now they have. The Senate chamber was restless. Whispers filled the air like a storm gathering in slow circles. Some senators looked to the exits, weighing escape. Others watched Elias with a mixture of fear and reluctant awe. A tall, broad-shouldered alien with gray skin and eyes like shards of obsidian stepped forward, voice clipped. What now, human? You've humiliated the Emperor, stirred rebellion. Do you really think this will hold? Elias turned slowly, measuring the man. No. Nothing holds forever. But enough to break the pattern? That's all we need. Another senator, smaller, more cautious, spoke from the shadows of a broken pillar. If you kill him, the Empire will strike tenfold. If you let him live, you die. There is no outcome where you win. I'm not here to win, Elias said flatly. I'm here to show them it's possible. Varric stepped closer, whispering now. We can't stay here. The longer we wait, the more time the Empire has to rally. Our people need direction. Elias nodded, his mind already turning. Broadcast again. Varric frowned. You just said? Not to them. Elias cut in. To the fleet. Varric tapped his comms, patching through. You're live. Elias didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. To every ship, every outpost, every fighter in this cause, this is Elias Wren. The Emperor is ours. The capital is cracking. Wherever you are, make them feel it. Make them see we're not shadows anymore. He ended the feed, the message short, sharp, like the blow of a hammer. A sudden movement in the Senate drew his eye. One of the younger senators, dressed in deep blue, stepped forward, her expression hard. You think by tearing him down, we'll just follow you? Replace one ruler with another? Elias shook his head. I'm not here to rule. I'm here to end rulers like him. She stared for a long moment, then gave a nod, not agreement, but understanding. A tremor ran through the floor. The heavy drone of ships moving overhead signaled what they'd all been waiting for. The fleet? Elias asked. Varric checked the data feed on his wrist. Imperial reinforcements. 3 dreadnoughts just entered orbit. Zalvor lifted his head, lips curled in a bloody smile. Told you. My reach is eternal. Elias stepped close, crouching to meet his gaze. Your reach ends at the end of that chain. The Emperor laughed, hollow. You can't stop it now. Elias stood, addressing Varric. We don't stop it. We spread it. Varric's brow furrowed. Evac? No. One more broadcast. The chamber lights flickered, static humming through the air. The Imperial forces were trying to retake control of the systems, but Varric was faster. Feeds up. Elias stepped into the center, pulling Zalvor with him, forcing the Emperor to stand. Cameras blinked to life. To those still watching, Elias began, his voice calm. You think I'm here to kill a tyrant? That's too simple. Killing him won't free you. But what you do next might. He tightened his grip on the chains. You've waited for someone to stand. Now you've seen it. No gods, no kings. Just one man and the truth. That fear is a lie we've all swallowed for too long. He looked directly into the lens. Wherever you are, stand up. Whatever power you think they hold, it's gone the moment you stop kneeling. He ended the broadcast himself this time, cutting the feed sharp. Varric pulled him aside. We have minutes, maybe less. If they storm this place, let them come. Varric's eyes narrowed. You want to die here? Elias looked back at the Emperor, now slumped again, breathing ragged. I want them to live. The doors behind them groaned, distant sounds of boots and weapons growing louder. Varric moved to block Elias' path. There's still time to run. Elias shook his head. Running won't carry this further. Standing here will. He clasped Varric's shoulder. You lead them now. Varric swallowed hard but nodded. Then let's give them hell. The room tensed as the first echo of soldiers filled the outer hall. Elias turned, facing the throne one last time. His voice was low, meant only for Zalvor. Your time's up. The doors burst inward, torn from their hinges in a storm of heat and sound. Imperial soldiers, clad in black armor etched with the Emperor's sigil, flooded the chamber, weapons raised, visors locked on Elias Wren. Elias didn't flinch. He stood at the center of the Senate floor, the chains still wrapped tight around Zalvor's wrists, his own weapon holstered. His breath was steady. Calm. He wasn't here to win a battle. He had already won the war in their minds. Stand down! Barked the lead soldier, his voice amplified by his helmet's systems. Release the Emperor and surrender immediately! Varric moved to Elias' side, rifle aimed, eyes cold. No chance. The soldiers advanced, their steps synchronized, deliberate. They were trained for chaos, but what they walked into was order, an order Elias had forged in defiance. Zalvor straightened, finding a second wind in the arrival of his loyal guard. End this farce, he commanded, his voice regaining the sharpness it had lost. Elias didn't move. Your voice doesn't carry like it used to. The soldiers hesitated, for just a breath. They had watched the same broadcasts as the rest of the galaxy. Fear had found a new home in them. The hesitation cost them. Now! Elias roared. Varric opened fire, his first shot dropping the lead soldier, the impact sending the rest scattering into cover. Blaster fire lit the chamber in violent bursts. Statues shattered, columns cracked, the air filled with smoke and heat. Elias ducked low, dragging Zalvor behind the shattered remains of the throne. He pulled his own weapon free, returning fire with precision, every shot aimed to kill. Varric moved like a blade, cutting through their ranks, never still. A grenade rolled near. He kicked it back, the explosion ripping through 3 soldiers at once. They keep coming! Varric shouted. Elias reloaded, grim. Let them! A squad flanked left, trying to circle them. Elias pivoted, firing into their path, forcing them back. The chamber was chaos now, screams mingling with the hiss of energy weapons. Amid the fight, Zalvor laughed. You'll die here, Wren. Alone. Elias struck him hard, silencing him. I don't need to live. Just long enough. The battle raged, either side yielding. Elias knew they couldn't hold forever. Each second was a victory, each breath stolen from the Empire's grasp. Varric dropped to one knee beside him, bleeding from a gash across his side. We're outnumbered. Elias scanned the room. Half the Senate lay in ruin, bodies scattered, smoke choking the air. His team was down to a handful, but they fought like 100. A crackle came through Varric's calm. Resistance fleet engaging above. They've broken blockade lines. Elias looked up, as if he could see through stone to the stars. Good. Varric grunted, standing again. What now? Elias turned to Zalvor, who glared at him with unbroken hatred. Now we finish this. They pushed forward, driving the Imperials back inch by inch. Elias led the charge, chain still in one hand, weapon in the other. He was a man possessed, every step fueled by years of rage, of loss of purpose. A soldier lunged at him. Elias swung the chain, wrapping it around the man's arm, yanking him close and firing point blank. Zalvor struggled, but Elias held firm, dragging him through the wreckage. The throne, once towering, now lay toppled, broken like the myth it represented. And me, Ren! Zalvor spat, desperation creeping into his voice. You think this changes anything? I am the Empire! Elias pulled him closer, eyes burning. Not anymore. He shoved the Emperor to his knees, forcing him to face what remained of his court, bloodied, defeated, silent. Varric called out, urgency in his voice. More dropships incoming! Elias looked at his friend, more brother than comrade now. Take the others. Get to the escape route. Varric hesitated, then shook his head. Not without you. You have to lead them. This can't stop with me. Varric's jaw clenched, but he nodded. I'll hold the path. Elias gripped his arm. Thank you. With that, Varric turned, gathering the last of their team, disappearing into the smoke. Elias faced Zalvor alone. You've lost, Elias said. Zalvor sneered. So have you. Elias knelt, lowering his voice. I was never meant to win. Just to prove you could lose. From his belt, Elias pulled a small device, a beacon. He activated it, the light blinking slowly. This sends the final message, Elias said. That you were nothing without their fear. Zalvor lunged, but Elias was faster. He struck once hard. The Emperor fell unmoving. Elias stood over him, breathing heavy, hearing the distant roar of ships above. The resistance was rising. His time was done. Elias Wren stood alone in the ruins of the Senate, the shattered throne to his left, the unconscious Emperor crumpled at his feet. Smoke still drifted through the air. The cries of the wounded echoed in the distance. Outside, the sound of orbital bombardments had dulled to a low rumble. Either the resistance was winning, or they were all running out of fire. He had no way of knowing. And it no longer mattered. He activated the beacon. Its blinking blue light pulsed once, twice, then locked steady. A direct connection to every public channel in the core worlds. It hijacked broadcasts, overrode protocols, reached every comm station, handheld, visor, and screen. Elias stepped into the center of the chamber. The blood on his face had dried. His uniform was torn, one arm limp from shrapnel, but he held himself upright. He didn't want them to see a martyr. He wanted them to see a man. Flesh and blood. Mortal. And unafraid. To the people of the galaxy, this is Elias Wren, Terran-born, soldier of the Resistance. His voice filled billions of rooms across 1,000 planets. Some of you know me as a terrorist. A criminal. A fool. That's fine. Believe what you need to. Just look at what I've done. He stepped aside, revealing the Emperor's broken form, still bound, barely conscious. His once pristine robes now torn and soaked in filth. Your god is on his knees. He let the words sit. No shouting. No drama. Just truth, delivered clean and sharp. You've been told this was impossible. That his rule was eternal. That your voices meant nothing. That rebellion would only end in death. Elias looked into the camera drone hovering before him. Well, we're all going to die. But not all of us will be forgotten. He crouched beside Zalvor. The Emperor blinked slowly, pupils unfocused. You don't get a trial, Elias said. You made sure no one else did. With effort, Zalvor managed a whisper. They'll burn Earth for this. Elias's jaw tightened. Maybe. But they won't erase today. He rose, drawing the small, serrated blade from his boot. Not a weapon of war. A symbol. The same knife his father had used to etch the names of the dead into the wall of a prison camp before the guards burned it down. I'm not doing this because I want to, Elias said. I'm doing it because someone has to. He gripped the chain and pulled Zalvor forward onto his knees again. The drone zoomed in, unblinking. This is not revenge. It's correction. Elias pressed the blade to the Emperor's throat. No ceremony. No cruelty. Just a swift, final stroke. And the God King fell. Across the stars, silence followed. Then flickers of noise. Cheers. Shouts. Protests. Fires lighting in the dark corners of Empire. Rebellion was no longer a concept. It was real. It had a face. And a body count. Elias didn't wait to savor it. He was already fading, the adrenaline holding his wounds at bay starting to break. He staggered back from the body, collapsing onto the cold floor, gasping. His comm crackled. Varric's voice, barely audible through static. We saw it. Broadcast went through. Entire fleets turning. Half the Senate just surrendered. Elias smiled faintly. Took them long enough. We're coming back for you. No, Elias said. Don't. You need to lead now. The hard part starts today. Elias. Make it count. He dropped the comm. Somewhere, high above, the Resistance fleet surged forward. In orbit, Loyalist ships hesitated. Some powered down. Some opened fire on their own command ships. The structure of Empire began to collapse, not in flame, but in silence, as belief was pulled from beneath it. In the Senate, Elias sat with his back against the wall. The light from the beacon flickered once more, then dimmed out. His body felt numb. Not from pain, but from completion. He had done everything he could. He pulled a data chip from his jacket. A message he had recorded the night before the mission. He slotted it into the drone and activated the upload. The final piece. To my people, to anyone left listening. His voice was different in the recording, tired, but grounded. My name's Elias Wren. I wasn't chosen. I wasn't trained to lead. I just got sick of watching monsters pretend to be immortal. The feed cut to a single image, Elias in the throne room, chain in hand, dragging the Emperor. Don't remember me. I'm just noise. But remember this, they bleed. They fall. They break. The message ended. And the drone flew away. Hours later, the statue of Zalvor outside the Senate was pulled down by a crowd of civilians. Not a resistance unit. Not soldiers. Just people. A child climbed the rubble, planting a tattered banner in its place, a scratched and faded symbol of Earth. The first colony that had refused. The last to fall. The first to rise. Varric would take command of the fleet. The rebellion would grow teeth. Systems would fall. Others would try to fill the vacuum. But none of them would wear a crown without remembering what happened to the last man who did. Elias Wren died quietly. Alone. No glory. No applause. Just a broken man who proved that gods could bleed.